A big show tonight with chaos throughout CBS now that 60 Minutes has been forced to release unedited Kamala Harris clips after the network was found to have used careful editing to tidy up her answers. The release is part of a $16 million settlement with Donald Trump. And if you need a refresher, this sort of thing is what 60 Minutes was doing.
The work that we do diplomatically with the leadership of Israel is an ongoing pursuit around making clear our principles. Well, let's start with this. On this subject, the aid that we have given Israel allowed Israel to defend itself against 200 ballistic missiles that were just meant to attack the Israelis and the people of Israel. And I think that is the most recent example of why what we do to assist in their defense around military aid is important. And when we think about the threat that Hamas, Hezbollah presents, Iran, I think that it is without any question our imperative to do what we can to allow Israel to defend itself against those kinds of attacks. Now, the work that we do diplomatically with the leadership of Israel is an ongoing pursuit around making clear our principles, which include the need for humanitarian aid, the need for this war to end, the need for a deal to be done which would release the hostages and create a ceasefire.
Those editors should win an award. Somehow the bumbling and incoherent responses, they became focused and sharp. Now, they did this in the middle of an election campaign, and there is simply no excuse for that. Joining me today is Sky News contributor Kosha Garda. Kosha, what do you make of that very interesting outcome from this settlement that part of the terms are show us the tapes?
It is definitely significant, Jack. Great to be with you as always. It is, monetarily, okay, there's 16 billion, nothing shy, nothing to sneeze at over there. It will go to Trump's presidential library. It'll probably be one of the most opulent presidential libraries out there. Also, they're agreeing that they will release the raw transcripts of presidential candidates' interviews going forward. That is a big win because we know that this kind of editing, deceptive editing, is something that the media does all the time. And I think that's a win going forward. And the biggest thing, too, is that even though they did not have to issue an apology, that's the one thing CBS is grabbing onto over here. The money talks, the settlement does talk, and that is going to be something that favors Team Trump. Right now, he's going to make a lot of hay out of it, and it certainly has been embarrassing for CBS, no question about it.
Yeah, well said. And staying on this topic, there's been some really interesting reporting emerging. CNN activist Brian Stelter got on the tools to break this news line. And for the record, this isn't sold as an opinion piece. This is badged up as news reporting. And check out the intro. Paramount Global is being hammered for bowing to presidential pressure and settling a lawsuit that it likely could have beaten in court. But this convoluted episode is really more about the plaintiff, President Trump, than about Paramount. Journalism in 2025, completely unhinged, and the copy actually gets worse. He writes, even though Trump's 60 Minutes lawsuit is now history, his bullying tactics will continue to challenge media companies for the foreseeable future. Now, does that seem like the sort of language a fair and balanced news report should contain? And ironically, people like Stelter are making Trump's point for him. He is an activist, not a journalist, and he just proved this with his very own words. Now, Kosha, let's bring you back in. Obviously, we have an opinion show here. We're discussing an opinion capacity, and we've got fairly robust opinions between the two of us on these topics. But they've published that as a news story, and they're quoting anonymous sources in there to talk about how the journalists are revolting against, this evil management. But there is this strange way that people at CNN conflate opinion and news reporting in a way that it's not necessarily transparent to the reader.
Totally. I think by now it probably is transparent to the reader, not because of them, but just because the reader and the public have caught on to this. It's been happening for so long. That's why trust in media is at an all-time low. Their ratings are down and all these problems that we cover all the time. But as a matter of their professional practices, this deliberate blurring and obscuring of hard news versus opinion is really a dereliction of duty that has been going on for a long time in the media. I think it really got put on steroids once Trump entered the arena, where they just put any semblance of doing that, shoved it all out the window because they believed that they were serving this higher cause of saving the world from this horrible candidate, and that justified, I think, these kinds of things. The good news is Brian Stelter has not been relevant for a very long time since the show was canceled in 2022 by CNN. And so I don't think anybody's reading that overly verbose copy that he put out there. Too many words. I would have, I think, short and sweet is better.
Yeah, well, I love Brian Stelter. Gives us a lot of great content. So staying on him and CNN, he actually went to air alleging that this settlement was a bribe to Donald Trump. He goes so far as to claim it was extortion.
CBS did nothing wrong here, but its parent company is paying the price anyway because of President Trump's highly unusual litigation strategy. This is now a playbook of sorts for the president because he won a settlement from Disney's ABC last December, also a settlement from Mark Zuckerberg's Meta, and now a settlement from Paramount Global. The interesting and unusual wrinkle here with Paramount, the parent of CBS, is that Paramount is trying to merge with a company called Skydance. And in order to merge, it needs Trump administration approval. That has led to widespread speculation that Paramount was willing to cut this settlement deal, in fact, eager to cut this deal, in order to get the Trump administration to bless the merger. Some Democratic lawmakers have used the word bribe to describe this. And one CBS correspondent said to me on conditioned anonymity, everyone at 60 Minutes believes this is an act of extortion by the president.
Gosh, what do you make of this? This is the same. This is a bloke who, in copy in a news report, writes the president is a bully. Then he goes on air and he alleges that the president of the United States is bribing media organizations, is extorting them for millions of dollars, holding up mergers and everything with no evidence whatsoever. He's going to air with this. Does this hurt their credibility?
I think so. A little of it there is left, sadly. And I think, so these terms, extortion, bribery, they are technical terms in the law. There's a high legal standard that has to be proved if somebody were to charge Trump or anybody under a statute that governs bribery and extortion. There's none of that here. They had a right to defend themselves. CBS could have gone to court. And many people, actually not people like Stelter, but more informed legal scholars and analysts said that the case actually was quite frivolous in terms of the legal argument. And they could have invoked the First Amendment and other things if it had gone all the way up to court and probably would have won or it would have been dismissed. However, they made a decision that protracted battle in court was not probably in their best interests. They are trying to merge with Skydance. There are bigger business decisions at play. The CEO and the board have a right to weigh all those trade-offs and settle. And Trump probably knew that. He understands leverage and negotiations better than probably anyone on the planet. And so he saw an opportunity, a window of opportunity. He used it over here to affect some kind of change and embarrassment to them and to get them to, in a way, apologize, even though they can't say the words about it. That's what this is about. It's not about extortion or bribery. And if somebody sued Trump on those grounds, it would fall flat probably very quickly in the court of law.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Well, moving on now to Alligator Alcatraz.
President Trump touring Alligator Alcatraz Tuesday, a new migrant detention center near the Florida Everglades.
We're surrounded by miles of treacherous swampland, and the only way out is really deportation.
The 3,000-bed state facility will be the largest in the country, right next to an airstrip, with Florida National Guard members deputized as immigration judges.
They come here, say they already or been ordered to be deported. You drive them 2,000 feet to the runway, and then they're gone. It's a one-stop shop.
The detention center is in the Big Cypress National Preserve, home to alligators, water moccasins, and Burmese pythons. The president has suggested that local wildlife will discourage any escapes.
Kosha, I absolutely love this story. You've got the president walking past alligator-infested swamps where he's going to send everybody. He seems completely unperturbed by the attacks on him about being heartless with immigration and everything, and just completely manages to take the media narrative and just push it wherever he wants to go. It's quite remarkable.
It really is. This story hits all the Trump notes, where as a policy matter, immigration has been his signature issue ever since he entered the political arena now 10 years ago. And the way he has coalesced the public opinion on this issue actually is really stunning. I haven't seen anything like the swing of where the U.S. electorate stood on this issue back when he entered and came down those golden escalators to now, where 65% plus of all Americans, including Democrats, left-leaning independents, are in favor of his illegal immigration policy for sure and getting these people deported and out. So he knows that, and he's got the wind in his sails. Then the other thing about it is just the optics of this whole alligator concept and the fact that there's a swamp around there. It's just a gift that keeps giving. International media all around the world has been covering it for days. And it's kind of funny in a way for those who see the issue from the side that probably you and I do, but it does rile up some of his opponents on the other side. And I think he loves that. He's at his best when he's adversarial with people who don't get it, but the public opinion is totally on his side, and it's the right policy for the country.
Coach Agata, thanks for sharing your insights as always. Really appreciate it.